perfecting the listing conversation. Okay. And I actually took some time and I'm going to pull it up. And on the email that you got this morning, you should have this attachment to it. And it will be on the recording when it gets posted online. Just pull it up here. I'm going to share my screen. And some of you might be like, this is very basic, but it's really fundamental. So if you can see this here. Okay.
Can you make it a little bigger, Rob?
That better?
Yeah.
Let me do this too, Robert. There we go. So we have to perfect the listing conversation. And I think as I'm working with more and more of our associates, you can't skip the first step. And the first step is be the expert homeowners can trust. I'm sorry, but you can't fake it. You really have to invest some time in understanding what you're talking about. Okay. So I put that there intentionally, you know, with technology and the skills that we have, you can really become an expert in an area probably within an hour by studying the numbers. And Robert, you're always at my right hand here. Would you agree with that? Like if you went outside of your comfort area, you study it for probably an hour, you could feel expert status.
So you know, what I would add to that, Rob, is that when I go to a town that I haven't done business in before, I want to find out where all the schools are, where the shopping is, where the hospital is, because I don't want to sit down with a seller and, you know, have them talk about how great it is that this elementary school is like around the corner. And I didn't know that. You know, that's something I'd like to be able to tell them. So yeah, it takes time to prepare.
Now, Robert, what would happen if somebody called you and asked you questions about somebody from Remax Select called you and said, hey, you know, my client's going to be selling in Mountain Lakes. Can I ask you a few questions as a resident or one of our experts there?
Absolutely. I mean, sure, we're on the same team, and I would do anything I could to help.
And vice versa, that works in reverse. If you're going to, you know, Edison, New Jersey, you call somebody, say, hey, I'm looking to do something in this area. Can you help me out? So that's a really good tip as our family grows, that, you know, we can call others and not have to try to figure everything out on our own. Okay. Like, hey, this side of the tracks, that side of the tracks, east, west, which is more desirable financially? What's the attributes of these areas? You can really gain a lot by doing that. So be the expert a homeowner can trust. I'm saying that should be, in most cases, an hour investment if we don't know the area. And if we know the area, just, you know, going through and understanding what's relevant. Number two, okay, prepare for the conversation. What I've learned over time is everybody's going to have a unique way of presenting. You know, some people, you know, for me, I'm a very spreadsheet numbers person. That's my MO. You know, some people like to just do the comps and say, hey, here's the comps. This one's got a bigger this, a smaller yard, more updated. If that's your comfort zone, then, you know, just be prepared for that conversation. Something that I think in this market of very, very low inventory that we might not emphasize enough because of our traditional training is I almost think the current competition is as, if not more important than the historical comps. Who would agree with me on that? I have one Robert Garver. I agree. So New Jersey and Florida both agree.
We all agree.
Yes. You know, some people use price per square foot, tax assessments, a combination thereof. Doesn't matter the exact particulars that you use, but you need to be prepared for the conversation. Number three is a real pet peeve of mine, is if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. And how many of you have ever gone to an appointment or a listing appointment and you get stuck behind a school bus or there's an accident and you're 7 minutes late? What does that do to your mindset when you show up for an appointment late? Right? Do you think that could you potentially blow the entire appointment because you showed up late?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage, and you know, in the 5 years I've been coming down to Florida, I will say that the traffic has only gotten worse. And we need to anticipate traffic. We need to anticipate things happening and always plan on being 15 minutes early for something that's important.
Rob, can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
When you show up early, there's also other ways to impress the seller. If you show up with a yellow pad or a notepad and you walk around in front a little bit and take some notes, trust me, they're looking out the window, they see you. You're going to differentiate yourself from other realtors because other realtors just walk up to the door and walk in, but you're taking time to look around outside.
Yeah. I agree 100%. That was part of my listing presentation. When I used to do it, I used to walk around the property, take notes, because it would definitely set you aside from the other agents that just walk in with a folder.
Fantastic. So, and then I would suggest ring the doorbell 2 minutes early, you know, or exactly on time. I think like 2 minutes early is kind of just like, hey, you know, I'm really prompt. Number 4 is focus on building rapport and trust. And then we need to remember to be both confident and respectful, right? Because you're coming into somebody's house. So you need to be respectful, and you also want to be, you know, confident in the way that you carry yourself, the way that you walk, the way that you behave, the way that you engage. I mean, again, I'm going to always pick on Robert. Like when you walk through, don't you think people can read your body language, Robert, and see if you're comfortable in that environment and you feel like this belongs to you, or whether you're awkward and tongue-tied?
Oh, absolutely, you know, and one of the things, I don't know if it's further down on your sheet here or not, but for me, it was always a matter of being dressed professionally too. I mean, everything goes towards, you know, being the expert, being a professional, being confident, and confident, not arrogant. So those are all things. And yes, walking through the house, you have to be comfortable talking to the people the whole time doing that too. You don't want to just, you know, be like a machine, you know, a robot walking with them. This is your time to start building the rapport.
So
Yeah,
Robert,
can I add something to it?
sure.
Sure.
Okay. Knowing the area, knowing the parks, the schools, knowing the location, restaurants, all that stuff needs to be, you need to be aware of before you go to the listing appointment. So if you don't know all that stuff, because they're going to ask you questions and they're going to list with somebody who knows the area and that's educated in the area. Now, I've gone to many listings before where I had no idea what surrounds or what schools there are. So I did my homework and I drove by the neighborhood. I got all the schools, I got the HOA information, I got everything. So when I got to the listing appointment, everything was organized. So if they threw any objections at me, I knew how to handle them.
For anybody that doesn't know, that's Ron Piccolo, our coach from Florida, always available to help you guys.
And he helps New Jersey too, Colleen. So
Yes, he does.
So no, good, thank you. So and Robert, I didn't I'm gonna edit this before it goes out, but I didn't put the appropriate attire. It's a great call. And I think one of the points that's becoming more clear to me as we have this conversation is, you know, we have a team of people that can share with us some of the unique things, especially if you're in Florida and you're dealing with, you know, communities, gated communities, condos, there's going to be different restrictions. And who does some business in the condos in Florida? Who's well versed in that? We're going to come
What
back
would you like to
Ron.
know?
Okay, so Scott, are there a lot of condos that don't allow you to buy it as an investor and rent it out the first year?
Yes, absolutely. More than, I would say more than 50%.
Okay, and
Can I say something?
Sure.
That's more like in Broward, Miami-Dade. It will be the majority investors can buy it unless it's 55 plus. Then they have restrictions. But just a few buildings have restrictions on investors in Miami-Dade, which I work the most. Mhm.
see, that's
Good
great
to know.
So you're just from Miami to Broward, or Miami-Dade to Broward, then to Palm Beach County. Is Palm Beach County, anybody on from Palm Beach with condos? Like Boca? I think a lot of them have restrictions on rentals.
Hey, Rob, it's Lynn.
Hey,
Yeah,
Lynn.
we have a lot of restrictions in the Palm Beach County too. Whether it's 55 plus or not, there's a lot of restrictions on leasing. You have to own 1 or 2 years, or some don't allow any.
Right. So sometimes, if you're going to be going into that, into a community, maybe you want to check with one of your peers, and maybe that reciprocity will be extended to you when you go someplace that's a little bit outside of your normal trading business. Lynn, thanks for sharing that.
Sure. One little thing too, you just mentioned reaching out to peers. That's actually really good advice, because sometimes the HOA or the condo association are not the easiest to get in touch with. So finding someone that actually lives or does a lot of work in that community has been a way that I've gotten some even better advice or better information than from the offices.
And sometimes they're not really friendly at moving the paperwork along, are they, Lynn?
No, not always. Not
So
always.
these are good.
One little thing in Miami-Dade that you need to be aware is not the yearly rental restrictions, but the restrictions within the year. Some buildings allow you daily, some buildings allow you monthly, or only 6 months or a year. That is the biggest concern, because some investors, they buy to rent a seasonal, and if the building doesn't allow seasonal, then that will be the biggest concern in Miami-Dade. What's the rental period allowed?
Fantastic. Well, see, look at our new family in Pembroke Pines already making major contributions. Thank you, Elsie.
My
Hey, Rob.
pleasure.
Yes.
Rob, it's Jim. Just quick add on. I know a lot in Palm Beach County when it comes to, if you're dealing with someone who's an investor and wants to renovate a condo, it's really important to know the building's time frame for renovations, because during season, most of the units will not let someone do renovations during high season. So you should know the building on that.
Wonderful. And I'm going to ask this to Colleen or anyone else that maybe has extensive knowledge. What percentage of sales in Southeast Florida do you think are condos versus either, and I'm going to just isolate condos versus, gated communities or standalone single families?
I'd say probably 35 to 40%. More now, because it's getting harder to find lower price single family. So we're seeing an upturn in the condo townhouse market.
That would probably be about what I would think. And then you probably have another maybe 10% are gated single family and 55% non-association.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So this is awesome, the contribution. So number 4, we talked about rapport building, and the rapport building, I think, is when you walk in the house, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you walk through their home, their property, the way that you make comments. You know, if they have a green, you know, family room, and you know that that needs to be neutralized, there's a way to communicate that, and there's a way to not communicate that, where you could potentially you know, disrupt your rapport process. And Lynn, I see you there. If you don't want to volunteer, but have you had opportunities where you're on an appointment and you have to bring up some things that need to be changed that maybe they don't even know are like kind of offensive, and how do you approach it?
Yes. I actually asked them if they want to make a few changes to the home that can help increase what they'll sell the home for. If it's going to increase their profits and they'll get good return on it, or have more activity because people see pictures. And I mean, I had a hoarder house, believe it or not, in a country club. And I had to explain to a woman that while it was to her a house full of treasures, other people weren't able to visualize the home as their own. So if we reduce everything and simplify, minimize, and neutralize the colors, it would help get her sale to move along quicker, get some more activity, and most likely sell for a higher price.
Now, Lynn, there's a really cool saying that I've heard somebody else say, you know, what's the value of a gallon of paint?
Say that again? What's
the value of a gallon of paint?
Oh, depends on what you do with it and what color it is,
So,
right? You pay 20 bucks and you could have.
So a gallon of paint's maybe 30 bucks in a can, and maybe
Sure.
$2,000 on the wall when
the
you
wall.
look at how does it add to your house, right?
Right.
If you apply a neutral color of paint, it's not a very big financial investment to buy the paint, but it does provide a lot more value once it's been spread
Sure.
on the wall.
Sure.
So
I
those
had a
are some-
listing appointment this week, which I am getting. And two of the things that I had to say to them, their walls were neutral, but they were scuffed up. They have a large dog. And pretty much what you just said is what I said to them. It's an inexpensive way to really increase the value of the home. Give the walls a fresh coat of paint and power wash the outside. It brings a whole new value to people looking at the home.
And how do you deal with homes where there might be an odor from a smoker, or maybe there's somebody does cooking that is very not neutral?
Okay. Actually, I'm pretty honest when I go in, and I tell them it will deter people from seeing the home, that they need to have a deep cleaning done. They need to have the house repainted. Mostly down here, we don't have a lot of draperies, right? Up north, we all had big draperies on our windows. Here, there's less of that, but having the furnishings cleaned and a fresh coat of paint and not smoking in the house, I'm usually just pretty honest with them.
And anybody else want to share how you address those without being, you know, offensive? You're still respectful, but being honest, right?
Hey, Rob, I'd like to add, yeah, usually what I'll do is I'll do the walkthrough, but I really don't say anything about any improvements. I just take a note, and then I'll do the presentation. And if I get the list, basically, if I get the listing or not, it depends on how I feel with the people. I then will say, after it's all signed, I'll say, let's go back through and just do another quick walkthrough. And I want to give you some tips on what the recommendations are for putting home on the market. So I don't say that they're actually coming from me. And you can actually print something out that you can get off the internet that you know, top tips for selling your house, and actually hand it to people and review it. Then it doesn't seem as though you're doing it. You know, you're pulling something that you got off the internet or something that's recommended in the industry. But I always say, people, there's some basic things that everyone should do, and we should look at these things. And number one is always declutter. Number two is touch up paint inside and out. Next is to wash the windows. Next would be to curb appeal, very important. And actually, as I'm leaving, I'll even take people outside and I'll say, let's just take a quick look at the front of your home. And, you know, here's this mulch, needs some mulch here. Let's weed eat here, trim these trees, you know, or plants. And then the other thing is flooring, making sure that there's no stains or tears in the flooring.
Now, first of all, I want to introduce everybody. John Luca is the former owner of Remax Power Pro, 30 plus years with Remax, right, John?
31 years with Remax and 46 years as an agent with about 3,600 sales.
Well, I'm pleased to welcome you to the Remax Select family, John. Thank you for contributing as well.
Hey,
And
John,
you've
it's Ron Piccolo.
Hey,
Good to
Ron.
see you, my friend.
Good to see you too.
John and I have been in business probably forever.
Yeah.
We've known each other forever.
Lisa,
Lucky
Have you
Luca.
aboard, man.
So between Lynn, John, Ron, and Rob Garber, I'm going to make a lot of additions to my list here. You guys and ladies have made some really valuable suggestions that I kind of omitted when I was just looking at the big picture. But
Hey,
you know,
Rob,
and I did,
Rob, before you move on, because there's one more objection that early on in my career, I lost a listing over because I said something, and I'd be curious to see how people would address that now. Because at the time I didn't realize how significant a pet was to a family. And I made mention about the fact about how we were going to have to do something to mitigate the smell from their dog. And when I didn't get the listing and I asked about it, they said it was, well, because you didn't like our dog. And you said something about it. So I'm just curious how you might address that with sellers.
so this question's for the group here. This is not a Rob question.
Right, it's for the group.
yeah, I think
I would always tell the owners, you know, take the dog out for a walk while people are trying to show the property, while agents are showing it.
But the smell was in the house.
Now, not much you can do about that. I mean, you can warn them if it's your listing, just put some of those plugins around the house, but it's a very sensitive issue.
You can make them aware of nose blindness. So if they're in there all day, they're not smelling it. You know, when you first walk in, that's when you smell it. If you're there all day, you're not going to smell it.
That's
And
right.
You got to make friends with the dogs.
I was just gonna say
Can I
that anyone who has a dog, you want to befriend, like right when they come in, if there's a dog, a cat, if you can pet it and tell the owner how much you love their pet, you automatically bring down some walls and barriers, and it makes it easier to talk about anything.
And then
can
you're
I-
and Scott, and then your black attire has all the pet hair on it.
They love
Can
you
I
even
say-
more if it does, because then they
That's
know it's
true.
real.
Can I say something? I dealt with a client that she became my client for the last 8 years. She referred me a lot of people. She had 2 dogs and the house smelled and the cars and everything was smelly, but I know how important they were. Everybody, like, they were really important for her. So what I did is, without saying anything, when I got the listing, I told her, listen, this is something that I do in all my listings, and I bought some aromas for the air purifying system. And I asked her, let's clean it, because when people come, the air conditioning system is very important. So let's do a cold cleansing. I refer you or if you don't have someone to do it, because people will check the filter, will check this, because I know that will help with the aroma. And then I told her, I always do this, and I put some aroma so the house will smell good. And I told her, for the dog's peace and calm, because strange people is coming, let's make sure you take them out every time we show the house, right? So, and I didn't have to say your house smell. I was just very polite in that sense. Mhm.
You know, let me mention, I say to people that a lot of prospective buyers have allergies. And so
That too.
when we put your home on the market, we want to attract 100% of those potential buyers. We don't want to lose a buyer due to the fact that they, you know, due to their ailment, that they can't bear, you know, looking or living in this home. And so I say, well, look, let's do this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and I'm going to go back, I'll do some research, and I will email you some suggestions on some easy ways that you can help to, you know, make it more sellable, something like that.
You know, some people, there's a lot that we don't know about the relationship between homeowners and their pets. They can be emotional support pets. And Some people look at their pets as their children. So you have to approach the situation as if the pet is one of their children, no matter how good or bad they smell. The suggestion that I would say to the homeowner is just say most buyers like the smell of fresh flowers or fresh baked cookies. And if anyone's coming to look at the house, you have to just say, hey, are you allergic to cats? Are you allergic to dogs? We don't want to say to the homeowner anything about, hey, we need to feed the dog, we need to move the dog, we need to take the dog out, because that's just not going to sit well with the homeowner's emotions.
One of the things that I think mute a lot of this stuff here is if we shorten the marketing period, right? Because it reduces the stress on the whole process. If it's, having to have the house smell less of a wet puppy, right? Or having it be less of a irritant to somebody who has allergies. If we're able to market it quickly, maybe that reduces a lot of the pain.
Hey, Rob, it's Joe D. I'd like to add something.
Sure.
Adding to previous comments, in addition to looking around outside before you get there, I always spend 10 minutes going through the house with the client before I sit down at the table. And that has been probably the most valuable time, because during that time, you get to get input from the homeowner. Going down in the basement and opening up the electric panel, whether or not you know what you're looking at or not, identifying a furnace to see if it has a gas pipe or if it's oil or electric. These minor points will set you apart from other agents who come in and sit down at the table and go right into a presentation, because you're building rapport, you're hearing from the customer what is most important to them, and you're asking them questions while you're going through the house. And yeah, they spend time telling you about how their kid graduated and did whatever, but these are very important 10 minutes of rapport building time.
I agree with him. He's 100% right. That's how you really bond with the owners. Is you talk to them as you walk through. You ask questions, they'll probably tell you their whole life stories. But that's a good way to bond. Don't go right into business when you get there.
And if you have that relationship, I tell them, as part of my service to you, after we list the property, I will give you 20 minutes of Joe D can say anything and you're not going to get mad at me. Is that okay? And they will say, sure. And so I ask them for that 20 minutes and I go through the house and I tell them, I'm going to look at your house now in the eyes of a buyer. And I'm going to be honest with you. And they want you to be honest with them. And that's when you tell them, after they sign the listing agreement, then that's part of your service and you're giving that high level service to them. If you sit down and tell them that the house smells and their dog isn't so cute, you lost the listing. Okay, thanks.
Right, one other thing, as I'm walking through, which I do the same as the other people that mentioned, I look for things that stand out. Maybe trophies, guitars, musical equipment, exotic or a car in the garage, classic car. And as I'm going through, I'll use those things to talk and to kind of change the subject, but also kind of get on the same level as the owner. And I've had a lot of listings where we just shared, like I scuba dive. I might see scuba tanks in the garage, and all of a sudden strike up a conversation about scuba diving, and all of a sudden I'm in. So look for common denominators that you see around the house that you can expand on, and that will help to solidify your rapport with the owner.
Absolutely right, John. And also I want to add, if you're a subscriber to the DISC personality traits, you can identify who they are while you're doing that 10-minute walkthrough, and that will help solidify your listing presentation.
So for those of you who've been in the business for 5 years and less, you're getting a treat here from some real expert minds here into how they go about doing it. And I'm gonna kind of supplement, what they're saying. And what I'm saying is probably going to seem like it's a copycat, but it's really not. If you were ever to invite me to help you get a listing opportunity converted, when we walk through the house,
Hi, Pat. It's Chrissy Piazza with Remax. Patricia Coco asked me to give you a call. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. Please give me a call back. I'm available until.
Somebody's making an appointment. So if you want to talk, just unmute yourself again. So when we walk through the particular property, that's the opportunity to build rapport and trust. I will have that yellow pad. I will even do something, and this is something worth writing down. I'll ask permission if they mind if I take notes. Because if you go through there and you're taking notes, I'm like, what is he writing down? Is there something wrong with my house? Right? So please, ask permission. That's be confident and respectful. When I'll go down to the utilities, and I think, either Joe or John made this comment, I'll say, hey, do you mind if I take a picture of your utility so that when we put the house on the market, I have everything accurate? Now think about what I'm saying there when I make that statement, right? Is A, I want to be accurate, but I'm also presuming that this is going to be coming together, right? That's playing into the mindset of the homeowner. Does that make sense?
Yes. Rob, I'd like to add to that too, what you're just saying. Also, another thing you could do is take measurements of the room. Not everybody takes measurements, and that electronic gadget, that laser measurer, that's always a good conversation point, because a lot of people are like, oh, wow, you don't need a tape measure. And it kind of just shows that you kind of sets you apart as well.
And I'll have to have, I think Jackie Haynes, are Jackie and Eric on vacation now?
I don't think so. I think it's next week.
So this is a little inspector gadget thing that I want to share with you. Jackie Haynes showed me this app that you can put on your phone, and you can take the app and you can direct it at like the bottom 6 inches of the floor and walk around a floor, including stairs, and it will come up with perfect floor plans.
Nice.
Perfect floor plans. And you can do that at the time that you're out there. I don't know.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, I need that app.
What do you do for floor plans? Who wants to volunteer?
You can usually get it from county records or from IMAP. Sometimes they have it.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
It's Rob Dorso. That app is going to be free to the Central Jersey MLS members in about a month.
What's it called?
I'll get the name for you. It is an app that you can purchase, but again, we'll have it here in New Jersey, and it is amazing. You don't have to even change when you go up steps. It knows you're going up steps. It's a wonderful app. I'll get it to everybody.
The only thing it will say is it'll say like slow down, or if you get more than like 6 inches off, it'll say, oh, and the thing is you can't go backwards with it.
I use Matterports.
It's so Matterport's a whole nother, like Matterport's like making into like a dollhouse, right? Who is that?
Me, but also give you the floor plan with measurements. It's pretty beautiful.
Yep. So
but this is something you can do yourself, and you get that floor plan in about a day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. It was totally incredible when I watched it witnessed by an agent that, is average technology wise,
And what is the name of the app?
I'm getting it for you right now.
So
I'll jump in when I have it.
So did we talk?
Hey, Rob, can I just add one thing? And I know I'm not a listing queen, but I do have a small suggestion when telling people how to prep their home or that they need to. I will explain that putting the home on the market is like putting on a Broadway show, that everything has to be perfect, that you want people to walk in and be wowed, that you need to have neutral and appeal to the masses. So there's a couple of things that we may have to do, like declutter, change some colors just to appeal to, to everyone. So I think explaining it in that sense makes it easier.
Rob, I'd like to add something as it relates to the cellar and the home preparation. Sometimes, in some cases, it's good to suggest a pre-home inspection, which saves the seller money on the back end for many reasons. And also with regards to the pet odor, a good proponent of that is having the AC coils cleaned and the air ducts cleaned. Those things contain a large amount of pet hair and dander that as it relates to the odor in the house. I mean, once those are clean, it's tremendous help as well.
Now, is there any, Dan, is there any type of like a HEPA filter that you could put in there while the house is being marketed to try to absorb some of that pet odor? Or does anybody know of anything like that?
There are air purifiers that you can use and plug in throughout the house, which will help as well. There are actually deodorizers that do attach to your AC system that will, go throughout the house through your AC ducts. But a lot of people are not aware of how dirty those coils can get. We had 2 cats and had to have those coils cleaned every couple of years. And, it's just, it makes a huge difference on your electric bill too.
Hey, Rob, I have a ozone generator that I got off Amazon for like $50, and that thing will knock out any smell.
That's a great idea.
Pets, but you can't be in the house when it does it, and it will kill all your plants, and it will kill your fish, and it will kill everything. But if you have, the opportunity, it works.
Small price to pay.
Oh yeah. Hi, this is Marilyn. I got a tip a long time ago and it works. Sounds crazy. Charcoal that you would barbecue with. You put it in little boxes and put it in corners around the house and it absorbs all the odors.
Charcoal?
Charcoal, one that you would barbecue with.
So Rob,
wait a minute.
The
app name. Say that again.
Charcoal is if you were going to do a charcoal like a barbecue.
Yeah.
You buy a bag, you put them in boxes, put them around the house in little corners where, you're not seeing it absorbs all the odors.
Open boxes, you mean? You need
Yeah, you have to have an open box for it to absorb. I mean, you could put them in there and leave them there for a little while to absorb all the odors and then take them out when it's ready to show.
Huh, pretty cool.
So Rob, I put the name of that app out there. It's Kubicasa.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look at that one here.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just want to throw something in from my experience.
Can you spell that app?
Kubicasa.
Yeah, we just downloaded it on our phone. Cool.
Do it in your own house. You'd be shocked.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I just want to add something.
Cubi and then casa, like home. CASA.
It's in the chat. Rob just put it in there.
So one of the things that I found out about going on listing appointments, and I agree with every single person that spoke. I find 2 things. If I sit down, if I take them to the kitchen table, we sit down for a minute and I just tell them what to expect, that we're going to do a walkthrough of the house. I want you to go through it with me and you point out pros and cons that you see in your own home. A lot of times they will point out all the things they hate about the house, which opens the door to a discussion later with regard to repairs and painting and other things. But it's almost like a pre-doctor's appointment. You tell them what to expect before the procedure. And it calms everybody down and it makes it flow a lot better. And then as we're walking through, then of course, they'll point out things and I ask, do you mind if I take notes? So all of those things, this is a process. Every appointment's a process. And if you get it in the habit of doing that, you're going to find that your hit ratio goes way up because nobody else takes the time to be professional. And that's the difference between you and the other people. I've been told that, and I know it's true.
And just to add to that, I also like to ask them what it was that made them fall in love with the house when they bought it. Because that points out things to you that you can use when you're showing the property as well.
No question about it.
Now, have you ever
Rob,
had?
I want to add something. I'm sorry to your initial not being late. So I'll just say X%. I won't say 6. You have to dress for success and dress for 6%. It's
Amen.
very important. Put that
Amen.
number 1.
Yep.
Remember, they're comparing you to the agents with other companies who do not have what we have. We're the best. We have to look the best, sound the best, be the most professional, and not
Get
say
your
anything.
car washed and polish your shoes.
So another thing that I've observed, Joe, is sometimes we have team members that are really, really knowledgeable, but if they can't present themselves appropriately, they're going to lose the business, right? And that includes attire, communication, the whole package, correct?
Absolutely.
And I know you, when you're running your team or your office, you've come across people with great talent, but they just haven't mastered the communication process, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. And if you're a team leader or broker, it's your responsibility to polish those people and have the difficult talks with them. It's very easy to show up and not look very professional. And the more relaxed this world gets, the worse people look. Sorry. But I always try to act professional when I go on an appointment and dress professionally.
Yeah.
Please, no flip-flops.
Oh my God.
That's New Jersey and Florida, okay?
Yes.
Baby.
I just wanted to mention that there's a house in my town that I've listed 4 times. And none of the buyers were my buyers, but they appreciated the way that I presented the house and had the knowledge of the house. And when it came time that they had to move, they reached out to me rather than their agent who brought them to the house, for just the reasons that we're talking about here. So it's important to, I view every interaction as an interview, where I'm being interviewed. So I always dress the part and have the knowledge. And that's the key to all of this.
So and Robert, at the at risk of being repetitive, I'm going to repeat the story. You can correct me. I remember you were presenting an offer to a seller, and the listing agent was there. And can you take the story from here in a minute?
Sure. So very quickly, I asked, first of all, if I could present my buyer's offer in person to the sellers, and surprisingly, they came back and said, sure. So I showed up at the house, as I always do, in a suit and tie, and their agent was there with them, and he was there in a tracksuit. So I presented my offer, and we had a really nice conversation with the sellers. And at the end of the meeting, as I'm getting up to leave, I hear the sellers turn to their agent and say, how come you're not dressed like him? And I think that it definitely, my appearance definitely made a difference to getting my buyer's offer accepted.
Yeah, it's a great story. For those of you,
great story. I want to add something. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So we had a situation last week. This is beautiful. Stacy, who works with me, who's not on the call today, she's on a listing appointment, showed a property, and there were 8 offers. And it's another RE/MAX broker that I know. And there were 8 offers. We tried everything we could to find out inside information, but everybody's being ethical. Anyway, long story short, our buyer went over asking price. Another buyer went $20,000 over asking price. And guess why we got the deal? The seller was watching Stacy on the camera. and listened to Stacy's professionalism. And she chose us over another agent because she felt she was going to have a professional closing. True story. We're in attorney review right now.
Are
That's
you
another
in Florida or are you in Jersey?
That property was in Central Jersey. I'm Joe DiLorenzo in Mercer County. I accept all referrals happily.
And give them out, right, Joe?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I start
Send
with
them
our
down this
family
way, will you
first.
please, in beautiful Florida.
I start with our family first.
So that's another thing, Joe, that we need to be aware of. Like, you don't know who's watching you when you're walking through a house, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I'd actually, one of our agents actually sold a house, and going through the house, the agent and the client were talking about, how much they would have to bid to get it. And our agent, Kristen, asked me, well, what do I do? I saw the conversation. I'm like, just counter them back with their highest number.
Yep. Also, I want to add to what Robert was saying about impressing buyers. I don't know how many of you have tried this one. It was a little awkward for me at first, but we did an orphan program, where we sell a property and we put the buyer on our follow-up. Now, I got very aggravated when I saw some agents do that, but you have to pick and choose. A lot of the agents that are out there are not going to be here in 3 and 5 years. So you put that buyer on your follow-up program, they wind up listing with you in the future. It's happened many times.
I agree with that. I've gotten quite a few calls over the years because the person that sold it to them doesn't keep in touch.
Exactly.
And you're doing the job, so you should get rewarded for it.
And you could probably even get away with saying, hey, I'm going to leave my contact info. If you ever need to find out anything from the seller, I'll try to reach out to them, and then they have your contact info.
That's right.
Yep.
So we can go for days here. I'm going to conclude this with saying that.
Rob, one thing.
Go ahead.
That I did not hear brought up yet. Be excited when you show up to the appointment. Smile and be excited. You can never underestimate those two things.
Smile, be excited, and be engaged and interested, right, Eric? I think that those are together, right? You can't just be this, floozy, excited person about nothing. You're like excited about, getting that job done. That's a great observation. Thank you.
But I have the problem of being so experienced and so professional, be not excited, because someone said it, don't be arrogant, but be professional, but also be excited and smile. I got that from Mike Ferry seminar the other day.
So,
and when it's appropriate, don't be afraid to inject some humor.
Yes.
I say to the homeowner, there's 3 types of agents. There's a new agent that doesn't have a lot of experience and will learn at your expense. There's a lot of agents been around a long time, but they've been doing the same thing and they're not embracing technology and they've lost their enthusiasm. But with me, you get both. You get the experience and the enthusiasm.
That's great, John. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So sometimes we go on periods where we have really good confidence, and then sometimes we've been in a rut where we might have lost a listing or two. Has anybody ever been there? You lose one, you lose two, you get into a rut. Yes, no.
Absolutely.
Now,
More than once.
Now, Rob, do you think when you get into a rut, it's just like happenstance, or you think it's mindset?
It's almost always mindset.
Yeah.
It's the
Definitely
prior
mindset.
experience. It's the prior experience influencing your expectation of what's to come.
Yeah.
It's the prior negative experience. If you allow that to influence your subsequent behaviors, people see that. Okay. And it's like, it's hard to tell, but it's like this invisible success or failure that either finds you or that trips you up. And it's the mindset, and people feel that. And if your confidence drops, you're going to get into a rut. And the difference between a rut and a groove is just whether or not you're in a positive mindset. That's a groove. A negative mindset we call a rut, right? Because you can't get out of your own way on a negative mindset. So
Rob,
we do. Yes.
sorry. I always like to say, go into that listing as if you already have it. It's going to be yours, because in your heart of hearts, you know no one is going to do a better job for these people than you. And you have.
Yeah, it's like whenever you go to a listing appointment, I always tell my agents, it's showtime. Be an actor. You gotta be an actor. Smile. Showtime. Do the best you can.
Exactly.
Yep, because you might be going on 75 of them a year, Ron, but for them it's one every 10 years. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we need to remember the audience. And Colleen, to your point about, assume that it's yours, just make sure that you don't get to the point of, being arrogant.
Oh, no, never.
Right? Like sometimes I see people that they assume it's theirs and they're like, yeah, we can do it tomorrow when we get the photographer here, and they don't pay attention to the clues about where you are in the rapport process, right?
Exactly.
So I would say, this is awesome. I actually probably took more notes than you guys and ladies, because there's a lot of things that I took for granted. I'm going to add it to the document on the email. So if you click on the link for the document, it will be updated. And
Rob,
video
if
will be posted.
If I could add one more thing, I'm not going to have any more coffee, I promise.
Okay.
If I could add one more thing. Be sure you emphasize the strength of your company. The fact that you have people in New Jersey, the fact that people in New Jersey have people in Florida, that synergy is very, very important. And it's a big selling point for us that differentiates us from many other companies.
Not only that, the caliber of agent, Colleen.
I agree.
We don't just have, agents for agent's sake. I mean, the experience and the success on this call is just, mind blowing, and everybody's just sharing openly. This is what I desired to build 30 years ago, and I'm, really proud to see this culture of sharing. So here I say thank you to everybody that made a contribution here. Again, a big welcome to Remax Power Pro, John Luca and your team. Welcome to our family, John and Power Pro. And 5 minutes over, I'll put this list on the recording. And if you look at the email from this morning, there will be a link. You can click to that. That'll be refreshed automatically. Thank you, everybody. I hope everybody got half of what I got out of this meeting, and we're going to be better listers for it.
Rob, can I interrupt for 1 second real quick?
Sure.
I just wanted to reach out to Joe D. If he can
Sure.
give me a call. I'm also from Mercer County. We probably have a lot of referral work we could do back and forth.
Fantastic. And if anybody has any questions, I'll stay on, but I don't want to keep everybody else. Any individual questions that you have?
We got the ramp. I'm doing the ramp virtual meeting on Monday at 9 a.m. the Florida ramp, and it starts on the 7th. So anybody want to enroll in the ramp has to be on the virtual link that I gave everybody the other day. And if you want to be on it, just contact me, and we'll start the ramp program here in Florida on Friday, this coming Friday.
Anybody that completed ramp in New Jersey want to share your experience so that our Florida team can get a better idea what it is?
So it's Rob Durso. I just finished about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago we finished. And I will tell you, I'm 37 years in the business.
I just noticed.
And I can tell you that I got a lot out of it. It was a great refresher course for me. And I think if you follow the directions, you will benefit greatly. Even if you do pick up one thing every week, which there's loads of information, you'll do exceptionally well.
Is it virtual or do you have to be there in person?
It is in person.
I did in person, but you could do both.
The virtual meeting that I'm doing on Monday is just enrolling the agents in the program so that they can start Monday, because it's week to week. Every Friday between 1 and 3:30, Colleen and I set up the schedule so that the agents have to be there on Friday at the Parkland office, and then we'll alternate to the Plantation office to make it easier for everybody. But Monday is a virtual meeting just to get everybody enrolled in the program, get their documents, download the workbook. So we have quite a few agents that are enrolling, so this should be pretty good. And I took the course, it's awesome. And I've been in the business almost 40 years. So when I took the course, it was just like, oh, I already know that. But then you hear things that you don't know or you forget, and it just reminds you. And it's just an awesome program.
You know, I'd also like to say, you know, this is Anthony, and I've been in the business 32 years, and I've never experienced this program. And I took the ramp program in Franklin Lakes with TJ, and I will tell you, it is a complete toolkit for the real estate agent today. 32 years ago, they didn't have this kind of information. So anybody that's really looking to operate as a business, this is it. I would get involved and get into it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Rob.
Yes, sir.
3 listings this week, a deal put together, all because of the habits that I learned in ramp and applied, and doing my 61 points every day in my own head and making sure that I'm doing that every day. 4 deals in 1 week. Okay, because I signed up for that ramp class in December. So, and you know me, Rob, I like my golfing and my fishing and stuff. So if I apply the things that I learn in that and get in the habits that they teach us there with the 61 points, the results follow if I do those things.
Habits and consistency.
Right.
Jay, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Is that a success story up with it?
And congratulations.
Thanks, bud.
So
we just did one last night. We just got a 950 listing last night. So.
Congratulations. All right. So if there's any other last questions, I want to be respectful of your time and some great stories. If for some reason like you can't make the ramp in person this time, you know, don't stress out. You know, we're committed to getting that material out there. I want to make sure that it's available to everybody, but don't stress out about it. All right.
Rob, can we get a list of all of the Florida locations and the areas that they cover so that
Sure.
we can direct any referrals to the right office?
Absolutely. I'll have Fred get that out.
I'm sorry, last question. Where is the ramp being taught this week? What office?
So I think Ramp just finished most of the New Jersey offices.
Oh.
I don't know, Maria or TJ still on? So yeah, I think Mickey, I think we just completed the cycle in New Jersey. Now we're doing it in Florida. If you want to buy a second home in Florida and come down here, we'd love to get you licensed and get you ramped up, right?
Beautiful
Yeah,
today.
in
It's
a few
82
years.
degrees, 82
In a few
degrees
years.
today.
It's beautiful down here.
I know.
And it might even be tax deductible if you're taking Ramp.
I'll do it 5 years from now.
All right. I'll wait for you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.